Hello and welcome to a first impressions video that focuses on things that flick out of your tweezers. And welcome to Model Kit Stuff, and today's first impressions is a look at this kit, which is a set of a whole array of products that you can use on your 1 to 350 scale Imperial Japanese Navy ships. Now the set comes from Hasegawa. They have a small number of sets of these different parts, and this one focuses on machine guns and optical weapons. But actually, it's got ventilators, it's got paravanes, it's got winches, it's got all sorts of rangefinders, telescopes, and it's got guns. So there's loads and loads of little bits and pieces in here. What I love about this is a whole collection of parts that either you can lose, you can damage, you can lose to the carpet monster, or on really old kits, say the old tooled Tamiya Yamato, these might be an improvement on what you've got in the kit. So there's a whole range of reasons why you might want to dip into this. So as you can see when you look on the box front, you can see all the different parts we've got, and there's a list of what they are there. And we can also see that we've got a combination of plastic and photo etch. The kit number for this is 72118, and as a detail set, this was tooled back in 2008, so it's relatively recently tooled, so the details should be fairly good. So, as we look at the side, it tells us that it's a Hasegawa kit, but it says it contains parts for one model, which I guess it depends on what you're modelling, because some ships will have some of this, some ships won't. I guess what they're saying is if you're building a battleship, you've got enough to cover one battleship, but if you've got a destroyer, you're going to have leftovers. And depending on what you're thinking of doing with it, you might dip in and out of it and use it occasionally rather than setting out to upgrade the parts in one kit. So there's a whole range of things you could do. The ends of the boxes basically have the same information as the top, and then on this side we've got a little thing here that tells us that we've got polystyrene plastic sprues in there. It tells us that it's copyright 2008, which is means this is a first issue box, and we've got a picture of sprue and etch. So let's have a look in the box. In the box, we've got one bag with what appears to be 2 plastic sprue, one sheet of photo etch, and an instruction sheet. So our instructions is basically a folded single A4 sheet. And on the front, it's got individual boxes for our individual parts. And it tells us what the part is, and in some cases, tells you what it was used for. So if we take this one for example, and it appears to be 2 parts, AF50 and AF51, and it says it's a Type 94 director, a device used for the main gun battery fire control located on the highest point of a warship's bridge. So it's giving you an idea of where to look for these parts if you want to change parts out. So there's a whole array of different parts in here. I won't go through them all. They are giving them some reference numbers, A, B, C as well. Then when we go inside, it tells us that we should have 4 of those sprues, and that looks like the photo etch, so 1 of those. Then we've got more boxes telling you what things are. Searchlight control and target navigation finder, paravane, all sorts of bits and pieces, direction finders, and then we've got a whole array of different mushroom vents, and tells us here ventilators. Many of these will be located on the deck. So depending on your model, you might have to do a little bit of research and reference which ones are which. But if you've not got the right number or something like that, these are really handy to have in your stash. Then we've got the instructions for building up some of the more complex parts like the guns. So this says A, and that's A, B, that's how we build up B, and so on. We can see here the little deck guns going on their photo etch plates, so that's an improvement on what you get on in most kits, for example. So the photo etch is really handy as well. We've got a searchlight, and then as we go over onto the back page, we've got some guidance on prepping your parts, washing them, painting them, and so on. And then make sure you read the instructions, not for children under the age of 12. So it's basic, but most of these parts are removed from sprue, clean up, paint and stick on, so that's fine. Okay, let's open the bag. So we've got a single heat sealed bag with all of the parts in. And although it says 4 sprue on the instruction sheet, I've got 2, so it could be that they've doubled them up on the same frame in some way. So one single piece of photo etch. Please correct, 2 AF Part 2s are included, AF2. So the correction is that there should be 2, not 4. That's good. I was worried then that I'd been shortchanged. Right, let's have a look. So we have 2 sprue that are identical, so we will just look at one. And on the front of the box there is actually a count of how many parts. So number 1, which is the single 25mm machine gun, which is this item here, it tells us that we've got 28 of those in total. And what I can say is we've got some very nice moulding, and this is certainly an upgrade on a lot of kits. So there is detail on the top of the mushroom vents, for example. We've got this part, which is usually solid, appears to be hollow at least in one of the directions. So you can see there it's hollow. So that's been done with a little bit of finesse, although you usually get a photo etch replacement for the legs. The guns themselves, they're quite nicely moulded, nice and thin. The pyrovane looks quite detailed. And there is photo etch to go on them. The reels actually have been made with a texture on them. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. There is a texture there, so you don't have to wrap some cordage around it. Although the detail on the sides is a little bit wanting compared to photo etch. It's just solid sides. But actually, you could trim that up and that could make a nice centre for your photo etch actually. Rangefinders and various different telescopes. There's a little seam that goes all the way around at the halfway point that needs cleaning off. Otherwise, it's nicely detailed. Some nice detail on there as well. On a lot of older kits, that will just be nothing but a circular mass of plastic. So it's nice to see that. And look at the detail there on, that's 1/2 of the searchlight. So that's really nice. Searchlight base there. More guns, more mushroom vents with nice detailing on top, which is the bit you predominantly see. There's nothing wrong with that. We'll just flip it over. It's all crisply moulded. It's really just nip it off carefully, scrape the seam away, and you're there. So let's have a proper look at these. So as always, you can pause and have a closer look at these parts. Look at the detail on that. Lovely. So our photo etch parts, single sheet covers everything we need. The predominant part is the bases for the DEC 25mm guns, which is really nice to see because usually it's just shove a peg in a hole and that's it. So that's a really nice upgrade. We've got some front covers there for your searchlights. The range finders, the local range finders, the targets I should say, for the guns is mainly what else you've got on there, some gun shields as well, and that's your little wings for the paravanes. Nicely done in relief etch. That should be easy to work with, although the parts are very small. So there you have it, Hasegawa's Japanese Navy ship equipment set, machine guns and optical weapons. This is one of 3 sets to my knowledge, the other 2 focusing it on secondary guns and torpedoes in one form or another. There's 2 sets dividing those up a little bit. And basically these are all based around the plastic parts that they've designed for their ship kits. So I think this is actually a really great way of buying into some spares or some upgrades. If you build a lot of Japanese Navy ships, they're probably worth considering just from the point of view of some spares or some swap outs, especially if you may be wanting to do an earlier or later version of a ship. They might be good for conversions. But they're also very good just because, you know, I lost one, it happens. So these are all the sort of parts that for me you could easily lose. So I think it's a great little set. If you can find them in the UK, they're going to set you back around about £13. So that's not too expensive. If you can't find them on an online retailer, then you're going to pay around about £20 on places like eBay and Amazon. Obviously, the more expensive options. They can be a bit tricky to find. Certainly the UK distributor currently isn't stocking them. So it's a case of if you spot them and it's the sort of thing you think you might need, just pick them up because it's not expensive and I think they're really handy. They're nicely moulded. The little bit of photo etch is a really nice touch. And it's the sort of thing that will sit in your stash and when you need it, it's there, and I think it's just a really handy thing to have. Now, in my case, I've bought it deliberately so that I can upgrade some of the parts on the old Tamiya 1350 Yamato kit. So when we come to build that, I'll be swapping out some of the Tamiya parts with these newer tool Hasegawa parts. Okay, I hope that was interesting. I'm not aware of another review of this particular detail kit, so hopefully that was helpful if you're interested in what it is you get and what's in the box. Okay, take care everyone, you enjoy your modelling and I will see you very soon.